Today we have a beast from the Spartan Kuwait team. You must have seen him in every race in the Middle East and also in European series also he's racing around. This guy is always an inspiration for his fellow teammates and motivates every single person throughout the race, even if he doesn't know them. Welcome Mo. Welcome Mo to the Race Pace podcast where we will talk everything about endurance.
Thank you so much, Amin. Really glad to be here and really excited to talk about this. Thank you.
Ramadan Kareem.
And Ramadan Kareem to you.
Thanks for the time. And I know that Ramadan is started and your training schedule might been up and down. Tell us, our listeners, a little about how is Ramadan affecting your schedule?
First of all, just wanted to tell the listeners, anyone listening in from Dubai, Kuwait, the region, all over the world, Ramadan Kareem to you guys, to everyone. So Ramadan is usually challenging for everyone, right? Because schedule changes, everything that happens early gets shifted. For me, really, it's not, I don't have a problem adapting because I mentally adapt myself to the Ramadan schedule before Ramadan. It's just, I love work. I enjoy training in the morning. I'm a morning person. I wake up before sunrise. And with Ramadan, usually that could be difficult, but I still stick to my program nonetheless. Instead of waking up at 4, I wake up at 6. And sometimes I train in the morning, and that's very challenging, but I like to challenge myself. Because most of the races we do is challenging. So, but anyways, so really shifting the schedule. Sometimes I'd have to do my training before Fitr, sometimes after. So I'll be training 2 or 3 times a day, depending on the schedule. One of the factors that plays a huge role in making it challenging is usually the social obligations. Your work time changes. So we work a bit later here in Kuwait. So that makes it a bit more difficult, but it's just 1 month a year, and we make it happen. There's no excuses, right?
So how was your day so far, and how's the weather in Kuwait?
Weather is nice. It's getting warm. I mean, we're starting to see 30 degrees now, but surprisingly, the weather is really good for this time of year. A little chilly at night sometimes, which is really nice. You get to enjoy the outdoors. My day so far, it's been busy for the past couple of weeks. Been working on a project. Between that and between my full-time job, family, and now with Ramadan, with social commitments, that's. But it's been can't complain. It's been stressful, but can't complain. I spent most of my day today painting walls, so that was exciting.
As I will tell the listeners, that I have got some sneak peek from Jafar about his new project, which we will discuss later. I don't know how much he will be revealing of that, but we will discuss later over here. Definitely. So tell our listeners something about you, Jafar. Who are you? Who is Mo Jafar? People are seeing him in Europe. People are seeing him in Middle East, mostly in Dubai, Kuwait. Who is Mo Jafar?
So first of all, I'm just a normal 36-year-old who I enjoy running Spartan races. I love OCR. And that's a very good question. Who's Mo Jafar? So I'm just, what you see is what you get. So what a lot of people, what they see on Instagram, I try to keep it as raw, real, and uncut as possible. I'm just like any other average person, but I'm driven by passion. And a lot of people are. I'm not saying they aren't, but I have a full-time job. I'm 36. I'm married. I have 2 kids. And on the side, I do coaching as well as training for races. I'm always competing. I'm the kind of person who, if I don't have it written down on a calendar, if I don't have a date, then something's wrong. It has to be. I need to have a date on the calendar. It gives me perspective. But that's pretty much me. I'm what you see is what you get kind of person. I love OCR. OCR has been a passion since I started doing OCR. I love fitness. I love our community, and everything I do is usually it's driven by passion. It's from the heart, and that's pretty much in a nutshell. Just a small introduction. This is who I am.
Like everyone knows you on social media. They know how pretty much fit you are at this age and how struggle you are doing in your fitness and all these things. So that's a nutshell. Of course, you said that pretty much small info about you. And yes, of course, you are a structured person. It's been seen. So what inspired you to get in the OCR, and what was your first experience like? Like, when did you had your first experience, and what inspired you to be in the OCR?
Okay, so I'll be honest, that talk about my first experience, I didn't know anything about OCR. It was back in December 2017 when I first heard the term Spartan race and obstacle course racing. So I was training. I used to go to the gym regularly before my Spartan journey, but my workouts were random, unstructured. I never competed in any race before. And the first time I heard the word Spartan race was in December. It was in Christmas. I was in Prague, and a bunch of friends on a WhatsApp group were like, "Spartan are coming to Kuwait in January. Let's go together as a team." And I'm like, "What's Spartan race? What the hell's Spartan? What's obstacle?" I didn't know anything. I was like, you know what? I'll look into it when I come back. Fast forward, I came back to Kuwait, went to the gym, and friends are like, "Did you register for this?" I'm like, "No. What's this race?" And they just showed me on YouTube very quick. This is Spartan. They're coming to Kuwait. I'm like, I'm not doing that. No way. I've never ran a 5K in my life, let alone run a 5K race with obstacles and, you know. But then I was like, I'll think about it. So this is a true story. I went to one of the cash machines to pull out cash, and one of the banks in Kuwait was sponsoring the race, and they had all Spartan logos. I felt like it was a sign. I just saw them, like there was a big promo on the cash machine on the ATM talking about the Spartan race. I'm like, out of all the ATM machines, that's the one that, you know, I went to. Like, I was like, okay, so that must be a sign. So I went back home. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go do this race. I had no mental or physical training. I wasn't ready. I've never ran a 5K. I've got 20 days to prepare for a race that I've just, you know, that I don't know about. So I registered. Fast forward to race day, I went to the race, and I'll be honest with you, did a lot of burpees, more burpees than I can count. I failed most of the obstacles that you guys see me do, Z-wall, monkey bar, all that stuff. But the feeling of crossing the finish line, I'm not going to tell you that I was like, when is the next race? But when I saw my kids waiting for me at the finish line, and my wife was there and they were cheering me on, that was the best feeling, because the feeling of I've earned that medal. And then I just heard my son tell me, "I'm so proud of you, Dad." That just that lingered in my head. And then when I went back home, same night I was sitting at home, I was like, you know, I love this. I love this. I just thought about the race itself. I was like, I can do monkey bar. I can do this. I'm going to work on this. And then for the first time, I saw myself, you know, be like really committed to something that I didn't know back then, that I was going to be into it. But I did my first race, and I'm not going to lie, for a whole week, I couldn't walk. Imagine, just a sprint. I couldn't walk. I felt fatigue. I would basically at night cry from the pain. Sometimes it was just painful, like for someone who's never run and who's barely had enough time to train. And then 2-3 weeks later, went to Bahrain and did the beast.
Okay.
So that was my second experience. Was less painful, believe it or not, than the sprint. But then the story behind of why I went to Bahrain is that after doing the race in Kuwait, that was my first race, and I felt like I want to do this again. I want to do this again and do it better. So I found out this thing called trifecta. What's a trifecta? So I put a goal, and my goal was I'm gonna do my first trifecta before Ramadan. On Ramadan, I think 2018, it was in May, late May. So I'm going to do my first trifecta. And I went to Bahrain. I went to do the beast. I went to Madrid to do the super on May 4th. And really, I think that journey there, I saw myself changing. And, but the first race was the one that really was the trump card. It was me turning over a new leaf. Prior to that, I had a not so healthy lifestyle. I wasn't into fitness, bad habits. And really, I think this kind of put things into perspective in terms of trying to have a balance. But it's not easy, I'm not going to lie. The more I got into it, the more I saw that there was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of people who resented or jealous or whatever. But I saw a lot of negativity from people who I never thought would be negative, right? And And a lot of people giving me advice, it's not good for you, don't do this, it's not healthy. And I got a lot of that, but I had to make a lot of sacrifice. And that wasn't easy, getting into it. After doing my first trifecta, I'm like, I'm going to do another one. And then 2019, I went into age group. I was like, now I'm competing. So moving on from turning over a new leaf to competition 2019 and 2020, you seeing the progression, seeing my body and my mind change completely. And then COVID happened, of course, and that was bad for everyone, right? Races stopped. Yeah. But before COVID, I saw the transformation, and not just in physical, but also mental. But a lot of that came at a cost, came at a price, and really it wasn't easy. But the first race was the one that actually happened by coincidence, but it did change my life. And the progression is still there, and I'm still learning everything. I'm still learning every day, it was the one that really, I would say it's me turning over a new leaf and never wanting to go back to the way I was before my first race experience, because the person I was before is completely different than the person I am now, and how that basically made me who I am today.
So besides this OCR, what other sports you are into it?
So I'll be honest with you, I love obstacle racing. A lot of people think that I love running a lot, but to be honest, I hate running without the obstacles or doing something in between. I get bored. So if I do just running, although our training, and a lot of it is mental. But other sports that I do, I'm into functional fitness. I love functional events. I don't do as much CrossFit. I used to do CrossFit back in 2017, 16. I was into CrossFit and a little bodybuilding, and but I don't do that simply because the physical needs or the race requirements to do obstacle course racing, really, it's tough to do both. The risk of injury is higher, and you have to be conscious, about what you do. But other than OCR, I do running events. I do some running events, half marathon, 10Ks, but mainly obstacle course racing. And now I'm getting into High Rocks and DEKA Fit. So I'm doing my first High Rocks event next month, and I'm excited for that. I've been preparing for it.
So how do you maintain your motivation during the long races and challenging workouts? Like High Rocks workout is different, DEKA is different, OCR races are different. So how do you maintain your motivation for all these things?
So how do I maintain my motivation?
Especially during the long races like Beast, half marathon. How do you do that?
Well, this is why I wake up at 4 a.m. every day. I give myself an hour every day, regardless of whether I have a really hard workout or I have a tough race on race day. I do that every day consistently to practice my mantra. I strongly believe in positive affirmations, and to go the extra mile is something I call the incantation, the can do. But it's easier said than done. Sometimes it's easy just to say, listen to YouTube videos or, podcasts and motivational speeches. You have to actually believe it. And what I do every morning is I wake up at 4 and I remind myself that I got this, that no matter what happens, I'm going to push forward. And there are certain ways, and there's no one right way to do it. There's so many ways, but the way that I do it is I have to spend an hour, and I do meditate for an hour before I start my day, before I start my training. And I have to affirm to myself that I'm going to go in today and I'm going to give it all my all. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I'm always content with, regardless of whether the training was good or bad, the race was good or bad. But a lot of it is mental. You have to kind of mentally allow yourself to focus on the mental. I mean, you have to focus on the mental part more than the physical. Motivation, I learned, doesn't really, sometimes it's not there. You look for it, you can't find it. And sometimes you're not going to have someone sitting on the sidelines motivating you when you're doing long runs, or you're running a Spartan Beast or Ultra Beast. At the start line, maybe the first kilometer, you'll see people cheering and clapping, but then halfway through the race, it's just you and nature. there's no one there. You and your gut, your conscious nature, God, that's it. There's nothing, there's no one cheering you on, and there's no one telling you, you're gonna, don't worry, you have to tell yourself. And this is why I always tell people, don't ignore the mental part. Just because it's a good day, don't let your ego get the best of you. And I'll talk about ego later. It really taught me a lot. But a lot of it is you have to stay disciplined. You have to stay consistent. And you have to know when, like, for example, the reason why I don't do CrossFit and OCR is because the training needs are completely different. With Hyrox and Spartan, with Hyrox and DEKA, it's less technical than CrossFit, right? So there's no power snatches, there's no clean and jerk. So you're not using a barbell. Mm-hmm. It's mainly, accessories and depending on your body weight. So with Spartan, it's kind of similar, right? We use sandbags. And some of the training that I do for Hyrox does help me with Spartan, especially strengthen the lower body. And even the stations, I feel like it doesn't really clash. So I'm able to divide my work, training according to, so twice a week I do Hyrox, twice a week I do, Spartan, I train OCR, and then I would try to fit in running. So running, so I do a running program and then I do my training according to my needs. And some grip, of course, grip strength.
That's necessary thing.
That's part of the OCR training.
Yeah.
So really, that's it. I mean, I try to focus on any sport. So I came to realize that fitness racing, like Hyrox, DEKA, it's very similar to Spartan, but if you're without looking at the obstacles, it's running, and it's mainly body weight. I mean, the risks are lower. The risks of injuries are definitely lower there.
Definitely. So, Jafar, besides physical training, what other aspects are crucial in endurance sports like OCR? As you mentioned that you do meditation, you are doing like positive affirmations, you're a fan of that, you love those things. So besides physical training, what other aspects are crucial in endurance sports like OCR?
Besides physical, we talked about the mental. So mental is really important. A lot of, meditation does help some people. Sometimes it doesn't work for others. But a lot of it is, sweating more in training, the idea that you sweat more in training, and I say this a lot, and less in battle, but a lot of it is mental. A lot of it, like I said, I wake up at 4 a.m. and I do my early morning mantra. And the reason is because, the sun will always rise, right? Definitely. And there can't be a sunset without a sunrise. So the same can be applied with the idea that, you can go to a race, hit the start line, but if you're mentally not prepared, if mentally you don't control your emotions, that's one of the things that some people don't focus on, is they get too, I don't want to say it's wrong to get too excited, but sometimes one of the most important things that I do and I tell people is always control your ego. Ego can get the best of you. It could turn you into someone that it's a disastrous. And I'll tell you a story. In 2019, I went to Jebel Sifa, and that was one of the best races I had because I got top 5. It was my first top 5 in my age group. Ran the beast, no burpees, did all the obstacles right. But one thing that happened after this experience, my ego grew so big. And I thought that I was the best person, right? And, I'm the best, no one's better than me kind of attitude. And 2 months later, we were supposed to go to Jebel Jais, but that became Ras Al Khaimah. I don't know if you remember that. And when I went to Ras Al Khaimah, I was like, you know what, podium, I'm going to get first. I'm going to crush everyone. Guess what happened? I was bottom 10, not top.
I saw your post regarding that. I was thinking to ask you, Mo, what happened in Ras Al Khaimah?
Ras Al Khaimah, what happened was weeks before that race, I was getting a lot of people telling me, Mo, you need to calm down. You're overtraining. What's wrong with you? Something's wrong. Something's different. And something was different. It was ego. I didn't know it then, but I look at it after the race, just reflecting on what happened. A lot of it had to do with ego, thinking I was better than everyone. And a few days before the race, I got a wrist injury because of overtraining. I'm not gonna lie. And I didn't feel good mentally. It affected me. It affected everything. I was like, how am I going to do monkey bar? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And, you know, when I went to the race, when I went to Ras Al Khaimah, I did so bad. I went through a depression. Like I actually was supposed to spend the weekend in UAE. I left the same day. I came back to Kuwait. I was like, I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. And ever since then, one of the greatest lessons that I learned is you always need to humble yourself down. And that was one of the best race experiences because it taught me you have to don't let ego get the best of you. You know, you know, sometimes easily it could just come and it could destroy everything you're trying to do for yourself. It causes more damage, you know, to a person. But that was the last time I ever let my ego get the best of me. And this is why I always humble myself down, is because even when I'm doing good in a race, always remember, stay humble, stay true.
People doesn't have that courage to speak up about those things.
Yeah.
People make that, if someone else was in front instead of you, they would have made that excuse that I was injured, that's why I was in bottom 10. No, you were overtraining because you had an ego.
So because I had an ego, because the behavior was wrong.
That is the thing, you accepting it. Once you accept, you are learning from that experience.
Yeah.
That's what the best thing is, to learn from the experience, to learn from the past, because everything can teach you something.
100%.
Mo, you have completed a lot of races and you have competed in numerous OCR races as well, including the Spartan races across the globe. You have done in Middle East, in Europe. Can you share with our listeners some of the international races and championships that you have participated in?
All right, that's a very interesting one. I think we're going to need another session for that as well. So I've competed.
Carry on.
So the first international event or championship event I did was in Mleha, was back in 2019, and I've competed in the European Championship last year. I did the UK Age Group Series, and 2 World Championship in Liwa and Al-Wadba, and Sparta last year. And the experience, I can tell you, for each one is always different, but you always walk out learning something new and meeting new people. So the experience has, you know, overall the experience has been great for each one. And you know, one of the greatest things is knowing that you qualified for these events. And qualifying for Europe is not easy. It's really tough. And qualifying for World Championship, well, for Liwa I didn't qualify because COVID, they made it easier. But for Wadba, I qualified because one of my races, I got top 10 and it was a wild card race. So that allowed me to qualify.
Okay.
It was in Wales. But I can tell you, each race is different. The terrain is always different in every race. But one thing that I love, the reason why I love championship races or international events, is the community. The community is amazing, and just these people, like when you see this, you know, familiar faces or new faces, and it's easy to meet new people especially in Europe, and you know, you feel like they're closer to you than your own family sometimes, because you can't talk about Spartan when you're at the family gathering. No one really wants to hear it, right? Or you can't talk about it to your buddy at work. Like he's thinking, this guy nuts, this guy crazy. But when you're at Spartan, when you go to a Spartan race or an OCR event, everyone's crazy. So crazy becomes normal. And that's one of the reasons. I think that's one of the things that all these international events have in common. And in Europe, the community there is so vibrant and they're so active and so friendly. I just enjoy going there. And there, you feel like there is respect. You know, they respect the sport a lot. Not to say that, you know, in the Middle East they don't, but there you feel it's different. It's different. You learn a lot. The experience is great. Sometimes you get your butt kicked, right? Because it's difficult. The level of difficulty there is higher, definitely. I've done races in France and Italy, Madrid, like I said, in Spain, and I'm going to Andorra this year, so this will be my second race in Spain for the European Championship in June. And I've done races in UK. I've done more than, I think, 12 or 13 races in UK.
Great.
And really planning to travel the world and just do races and, you know, compete. And when you go to Europe, it's I can tell you, like, it's difficult. It's challenging, but I love the challenge. I love the challenge, and I love the feeling after the race.
When you said something about UK, so I want to ask that, Mo, you are one of the few athletes who have been seen often being mentioned by Spartan Race UK. It's glad to see that someone from the Middle East, our own athlete, is often shown as a Spartan athlete from the UK. Have you done any like podiumship over there, or like you're continuously racing in UK, right?
Yeah, I did the UK age group series last year.
Okay, you have done age group series over there.
So with the series, what happens is, for the listeners who don't know the difference between just races and series, you have to commit. So there's a schedule of races you have to do, and there's a point system. So that required me to travel to the UK 3 times last year, back to back. And from there, I guess. So what was your question about the UK?
Same thing, that it's been that you are continuously mentioned by Spartan Race UK. It's been proud that someone from the Middle East is being mentioned in Spartan Race UK. So our own athlete is there. So what connection of OCR is there? And also a follow-up question I want to ask you, if you mentioned that age group series. So can you shed some light on what is age group competition and age group series competition?
Okay, so I'll answer the first question. Yeah. So there is no connection. With the first time I went to UK last year for the series, I was there a few days before, so I had a lot of time to kill. So I did easy runs. I tried to climatize with the weather, simply because it was in April and weather was completely different. I mean, 20 degrees colder. And there I just saw the build crew, Spartan Race UK, building the festival area and putting together the race. So I was just walking and I was just being friendly with everyone. And I actually was helping the build crew just offload steel and wood. You know, I was like, you know what, it's great. I enjoy doing this. So I was just helping them. And then, you know, I met someone there. It was really cool. She's Lebanese. She's really cool. We became friends. When she found out there's this guy from the Middle East, she was happy. Oh, finally, someone who speaks Arabic. So really just being me, being friendly, keeping it real all the time. I guess maybe this is the reason why. And sometimes they capture moments. I don't know. There's a photographer. Sure. But they capture moments where I'm doing my own thing. I'm just in my own zone. And that's really, I think, maybe the reason why I got mentioned. But it's nothing. I'm not special. I don't have connections. And I enjoy. And I've met the Spartan Race UK team. I'm in touch with them through Facebook. And I made a lot of friends, brand ambassadors from the UK, from Europe, and from UK. I met brand ambassadors as well as active Spartans from Germany and Austria, and we became friends as well. Until this day, we keep in touch. We see each other in races like Sparta and Khor-Fakkan. They actually made the trip to the Middle East back and forth just because, you know, because they met me and I met them. So like they saw that I'm traveling, so they were motivated or inspired to travel to this part of the world. In fact, they came to the Kuwait stadium. A bunch of people from UK, in Germany, and Austria. They came for less than 24 hours just to race the stadium race, see Kuwait, and you know, just to scratch that off their bucket lists as part of their goal, just to travel and see the world. And I think this is the beauty of Spartan, what I was saying earlier.
It is.
Like people. So I guess just me being myself is why I get featured, and I really, you know, I thank Spartan Race UK for that. It's really amazing. Something that I'm really proud of. And so with your second question regarding UK series, the difference between that, running age group versus age group series. With age group series, there's a point system, right? So let's say there's a trifecta weekend happening in London West or London East. Not every race is going to be part of the series. So there's selective races in each event. It could be super and beast, or it could be sprint and beast. And you have to run both, and based on your ranking, there's a point system. And then you'd have to basically do another event. So I had to go back to Kuwait and then travel to Wales to run the beast, and the super were both part of the series. So I did both in Wales, and based on that, I ranked top 10 in the age group series leaderboard in my age group. And so that's how it works. So it's just basically a point system. you have to consistently do the races that they have on their schedule, and versus age group. So when you run age group, it's just one race, you get top 5, top 10, whatever your ranking is, and that's your ranking for that. There's no series, there's no point system. With the age group series, there's a point system, and with that, you qualify for races in Europe, like the European Championship. You can qualify sometimes for the World Championship if it's a wild card. In my case, last year, I was lucky because Wales, the beast in Wales, was a wild card.
Wild card.
So the wild card really acted in my favor. And yeah, so with the series, there's room to qualify for regional championships. And at regional championships, when you qualify for world championship. So that's how it really works. That's the difference mainly.
So apart from Spartan, if I'm not wrong, Hannibal race is Kuwait's own race, right?
No, Hannibal is a Lebanese company, right? So they started, it's similar to Spartan. Some of the obstacles are similar, some are different, but it's an obstacle race that started in Lebanon. And they do races, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Lebanon, Kuwait, and Saudi.
And also, I think so in India.
In India, yeah. Probably in India as well.
I have seen that some of the athletes from UAE region have been taking part in this race. Have you had a chance to take part in this Hannibal race?
Yes, I did. I only did it once, to be honest. Was last year, December 2022. And every other race, whenever there's a race in Kuwait, it usually clashes with Spartan, the date. So it doesn't end up working, and I end up, missing out. So last year I was lucky that I didn't miss out. It's such a wonderful experience. It's different than Spartan, It's a bit different in terms of festival area. It's different. The race, the way it's structured is different, but nonetheless, it's very exciting. It's challenging. Some of the obstacles are really challenging as well. There's a lot of walls, more walls than Spartan races with Hannibal, and the great thing is that Hannibal race now is an OCR WC qualifying event. So any Hannibal race you do, you qualify for OCR WC. So yeah, it's one of those, and I'm looking forward to doing another race, hopefully in Lebanon or in Saudi or in UAE if they decide to do one in UAE. Always great to pop over Dubai or Abu Dhabi.
So did you had a chance to do any race in OCRWC or any race of outside?
No, the US is usually, because of the distance, because of the logistics of having to travel to the US and visa requirements and stuff like that. It's always difficult,
So you have done OCR almost all over the world, except US.
In Europe.
Except
mainly Europe, Middle East.
Yeah. Europe, Middle East is like mostly these three places are having most of the OCR races.
Yes.
So based on your experience, what has been the most unique OCR event you have participated? Either it's Spartan or Hannibal, whatever. What is the most unique event for you that made stand out?
I'll be honest with you, doing more than 70 races, the one that really stands out is Sparta, Greece.
Really?
The feeling you get when you go to Sparta. I did it last year, and I was fortunate enough to represent Kuwait as vice captain.
And congratulations for the newest captain of Team Kuwait of Spartan Greece.
Thank you so much.
I just read your post a couple of days back, and I was thinking that the energy coming on your face, on your message, on your stories, that yes, I'm the team captain of Kuwait. I'm proudly presenting my own country. So I was guessing that Sparta Greece might be a unique event.
Sparta, yes, it's unique, and it's the one that really does stand out. When I went last year, the feeling that you get when you go to Sparta, it's completely different than any other race because you have more than 90 countries. It's not just Kuwait, it's not just UAE, it's everyone all over the world is just gathered in the small town called Sparta, and it's the hitting the start line at Statue of Leonidas. That's the feeling. You just feel like you're a true Spartan, and it's one of the best races. For 3 days, you feel like your life is one big Spartan race. Everywhere you go, it's and you see everyone's gathered. More than 4,000, 5,000 people are gathered, and the event, no other race will ever compare. You know, I've done the World Championship, I've done European Championships, and they're really great. They're really fun too, and also challenging races. But Sparta's different. The hit's different. I like to call it. I usually call it. It's the Mecca for every Spartan racer. So everyone is going there. 3 days like a pilgrimage. Everyone's going there just to compete, claim glory. You know, and you know the festival, the flag parade. You know, really, for me, it's amazing. It works out to my benefit. I'm half Lebanese as well, so usually they call it Kuwait and Lebanon right after. So
that's what I wanted to ask you. That I saw a beautiful post going back to the last quarter of 2022, where you mentioned that you're proud to be a multicultural half-breed, half Kuwaiti, half Lebanese athlete. So what's the connection there? And I'm sure our listeners would love to know more about it.
All right, so there's a huge connection. Definitely, it goes back way before my fitness journey. I am half. My mom is Lebanese, my father's from Kuwait, and growing up, I was born in Kuwait, but I went to high school in Lebanon, and I spent a year in college there. And those years were, they're crucial years for anyone. So living 4 or 5 years in Lebanon, it made me the person I am today. You know, completely different than my siblings, simply because I was living there. I've learned a lot, and living in Lebanon is usually it's not easy. It's not an easy lifestyle, But going to high school there and also college, I got a part-time job when I was in high school. That was something very normal. I was doing stuff that I wouldn't usually do here in Kuwait, and that's why I thank those days. Thankful for those days because it really taught me a lot about my self-responsibility. It shaped my identity, and I'm closer with my mom's side of the family more than my father. And growing up, I was always going to my grandmother's house. I was close with my cousins. So really, I associate myself with both. I love both countries, but I feel whenever I do associate, I'm always proud to say I'm half this and half that. I'm proud of both halves. And a lot of people would tell me, no, Mo, but your dad's from here. You should be, you're from here. I'm like, no. But to go beyond that, for me personally, and the reason why I love Spartan is because I strongly believe we are global citizens. There's no boundaries. When we're at these events, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter where we're from. What we have in common outweighs our differences. And that's one of the reasons why, I love these races, not just for competing, but it's also for, trying to inspire people, get people off the couch. I strongly believe in what the brand and what everyone in this brand is trying to do is just get people off the couch, right? But going back to your question about Kuwait and Lebanon, I associate myself with both a lot. Living in Kuwait has taught me a lot, and living in Lebanon has taught me a lot. And it wouldn't be fair not to give respect to both, And that's why I always say I'm proud of both. And hope I was able to answer that question.
It's an amazing. See, the entire thing is that you love being called half Lebanese, half Kuwaiti, and that's your feelings are attached with that, and that's the main important thing.
And being half-breed, always growing up here in Kuwait, being half-breed, you're treated differently, right? At times you're different, and the cultures are completely different. But growing up here, I know maybe in the UAE it's a bit different, but here sometimes you're constantly reminded, your mother is not from here, or stuff like that. And I don't want to get into that, but you're different because you have two different cultures. You're enriched with two different cultures, and I feel like it's a blessing, really. And
so, based on your experience as OCR athlete, Spartan SGX level 2, Spartan brand ambassador, CrossFit level 3, level 1 trainer, Spartan DEKA certified as well, right?
Yeah. So the CrossFit level 1.
What else you want to do now?
Maybe get my PhD. I don't know.
No, actually, or maybe I can connect you with Garfield Griffith as a race director, so you can direct some race with them.
Maybe we can direct the World Championship together.
Definitely.
know what's next for me in terms of education. Well, probably SGX level 3. I got the level 2. And I spoke to Spartan a few times to see when is level 3 happening, if it's going to happen, if it does exist. So still waiting to hear back on that. But what's next is always, I think next would be High Rocks, the education side of High Rocks, maybe getting into that is something that it's on my bucket list. It's been my plan, and I'm executing this plan this year to get into fitness racing as well, in addition to OCR. But that's not going to change OCR. I love it so much that I'm still going to do it, but I'm also going to try something completely different. It's time to step out of my comfort zone again and do something different. Yeah.
OCR and fitness, the Grind. Yeah. You have a team called the Grind.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about how it came up and what is the idea of creating this team, and how the people can get in touch with you to be member of your team, and what's the Grind all about?
Okay. So the Grind was an idea that started. Yeah. So the Grind was an idea that started. Well, the name came up during COVID, right? During lockdown and COVID and no races. What I was doing so the last race before Corona that I did was in Bahrain. It was a trifecta weekend. And I felt like this was the beginning of the Grind, is because this was actually the first race where Mo really got in touch with the community, was going hard with the community, There's something inside of me, and this happened right after the race I told you about, Ras Al Khaimah, the Eagle. When I humbled down, and this gave me a new perspective of life, I started focusing more on the community, on people, on getting in touch with people, and the concept that we are stronger together, that together we can rise, together we stand, together we can do so much. And at the same time, when you're at the start line, it's you versus you, right? So the whole idea of the Grind started from there. But then it clicked in me. I got this light bulb, the light bulb you get sometimes. I got it during COVID when I was thinking, one of the things, I want to do something. I want to do something big. And at every race, I want to go there and I want to help give people purpose, tell them that they can do it. No one has the right to tell you that you can. And at the Grind, so the mission, the purpose of it is that no matter who we are, it doesn't matter where we're from, it doesn't matter who we are, it doesn't matter if we're male or female, age doesn't matter. What matters is that it's you versus you, that you have a goal to work with, and we're going to help you towards that goal. And that's really what I've been living by ever since then. And so that's where it started. And during Corona, one of the biggest challenges was that we didn't have a gym venue. Everything closed. So gyms were closed. You didn't have access to the gym. So one of the things I did was I transformed so we have a roof. So I transformed the roof into a gym. I bought equipment. I did my own thing. I did my own little shack to keep myself sane during lockdown, especially since there were no races. So I had to make sure that I was still, motivated. I was still doing something. And I had me and my friend Simon, we would be supporting each other a lot. And he went through a transformation. I helped him in his journey. He helped me in mine, as well as other people in my life right now, in our community, where we're always helping each other. So this is where, it's all about the Grind, and this is where it started. In the end, it's just a bunch of people, it's everyday people coming together, trying to do something crazy enough to believe that they can change the world. And yes, we can. I believe that we can. And one of the things in the past few races that we did, I saw that our numbers are increasing. That at last Kuwait race, we won the biggest team. And it's not because I'm the biggest gym. There are gyms much bigger than I am. But it's all about having heart, putting your heart into it, and getting in touch with people, and not scaring people, not telling people that you can't do it, or feeding your ego, or always focusing on podium. At the Grind, we don't focus just. Podium is okay. If it's your goal, that's great. but it's not everything. For me, it's not everything. And the goal here is not just to go to races and get podium. It's to go to races and learn. It's to get in touch with people, and it's to change people's lives. It's to be part of, this process, this whole thing that's bigger than you and I. Can't find really the right word to say it more than just that. And this is where the idea of the grind came from. And I was unfortunate enough, to help people that needed help, simply because, and I don't ask anything in return other than they get back to their grind. And at the same time, give people purpose and hope that, yes, you can do a Spartan race. A lot of the people that came to me like, Mo, but this looks tough. You can do it. You can do it. You just have to believe in it, And I felt, it's time to take the grind to the next level and have a place for people to come and train and believe that they can do what they thought once was impossible. And that's the whole reason. I mean, that was my journey. When I started my journey from the very start in 2018, I had no guidance at all. And the first year of doing Spartan, I had to do a lot of trial and error. There wasn't people, instead of people motivating me, a lot of people were basically telling me that I was crazy, that I shouldn't be doing it. So they were negative towards it. There was a lot of naysayers. A lot of it was family, not just friends. But I'll be honest with you, one of the only people that stood by my side was my wife and kids. They supported me. Maybe they were frustrated by the fact that I sacrificed a lot, because a lot of it is sacrifice. But I'll tell you that even my closest friends and the closest people in my family, they didn't support it. And I didn't have a mentor or a role model the first year. And even after, for the longest time, it was me. And then when I discovered this community, and learning from the community, I know that, we can get more people off the couch, get them active, get them to do things that they thought was impossible. And I strongly believe in the idea that we are unbreakable. We just have to believe it. We have to wake up every morning, not just believe it, we have to work towards it, and then, whatever you put in, whatever you give, you receive, right? So
definitely.
So this is where the idea started. The idea started that it's you versus you. It's always going to be you versus you. Don't compare yourself to anyone, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people are using it nowadays. Just look in the mirror and this is your competition, but really look at yourself in the mirror and realize that you're not comparing yourself. The only person you need to compare yourself is you. The only person that you need to hold yourself accountable is you. The only person you can blame is you for not training, for not saying what you said you're going to do, for not achieving the goal that you said you wanted to achieve. And I feel like I do have the energy. I'm not going to say I'm gifted or talented, because I am not gifted or talented, but I do have the energy and the passion to say, yes, I can help you. As long as you're willing to go that extra mile, I'm willing to go that extra mile with you. And this is where the idea of the grind happened. I want to give people purpose. I want to give them hope that, there will be good days, there will be bad days, there will be really bad days, but we can get through this together. And we can go to the race and you can experience something, whatever it is. You don't have to do a Spartan race. Grind's not just about Spartan, OCR or High Rocks. It's fitness, It's just enjoying and loving fitness and seeing it as part of your lifestyle.
So how do you design your training programs to help your members improve their skills and prepare for the OCR events and High Rocks events?
So with OCR and High Rocks, with High Rocks, it's 50% aerobic, 50% anaerobic. A lot of it is running, right? So 50% is running, 58% anaerobic. So really, and the stations are defined, so it's easy to customize the training according to fitness racing. When, for example, such as High Rocks and DEKA. With Spartan, it's 60-70% of it is running. So I always tell people, get yourself a running coach, right? And follow a running program. I can help you design a running program if you want, but but you have to run. 60% of the event is running. So if you're not running, overcoming obstacles is only going to get you, enough to overcome the obstacles. If you can't do the running, then there's a problem. So there's a lot of grip strength, a lot of conditioning, a lot of mobility that we do. When it's group classes, the focus will be a lot on functional and building endurance, right? So we follow the SGX model. And when it's a group class, then we divide it into 30, 30, 30. So 30% would be power-based.
Okay.
So once a week, we'd be doing like HIIT, we'd be doing like a simulation, versus 2 or 3 times a week, you focus mainly on functional upper body, lower body, mobility. You need to have a functional body to run and to overcome obstacles. And then grip. So for Spartan training, you factor in grip. So really, this is what the schedule would look like if we were training together as a group. But if it's one-on-one, it's really according to what the client wants.
So do you prepare any mini races, mini OCR races for your group?
Well, hopefully planning to with the grind, is to do simulations once a month, once every 2 weeks, to get people active and to kind of experience what a race would feel like, you know.
I have seen in Muscat Trifecta 2022 in December that your grind team is increasing now.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of grind members wearing grind t-shirt, and like every heat, I think so there was a grind member. Every obstacle I have find a grind member. So good to know that your team is increasing, and it's good now. So how do you keep your members motivated and engaged during the long-term training and competitions and in the races? How do you keep them motivated?
Usually, I'm just myself, and when they see me as just being Mo, the true Mo, I don't sugarcoat. I don't pretend to be someone I'm not. And a lot of people tell me, Mo, you're a beast, you're this. But yeah, there was once upon a time where I wasn't. And I'm not a beast. I just work hard, right? But a lot of it is hard work. So really, when I'm talking to them, giving them hope, or just, sometimes I'm inspired by members. It's not just me inspiring members. It's like we inspire each other, and they see the connection there. They see the human connection, where it's a two-way street, where we're all in this together. We're really in this together. It's not just taglines and slogans and for marketing. We live it, we feel it. And one of the things that we do, and I think this is something that I love doing, and I discovered that really it creates a strong collaboration, is that we always like to work with other teams, right? We're always helping other teams. You know what? We're in the UAE. There's a team that won, going for the biggest team award. Why not? We'll help them. Okay. And the second thing, and we did that in Oman with Chai Karak. So me and Rodin, we tag teamed and we did something great. And it was the grind and Chai Karak together, and just putting a smile on Rodin's face and a smile on the Chai Karak's team. And really, we built a connection. And when the team did that, they became friends with people from Chai Karak, from Oman. So this is what I mean. There's no such thing as borders. We are global citizens.
On the course, I have seen you are yourself doing nothing, but people are still motivated by you. Myself, I can share my story. I think that was super in Spartan Worlds in Vadba. Sorry, it was sprint, the last race, and I was just running next to you.
Yeah.
And I slowed down a little bit. I walked up, and you just tapped me up, and you said, "Hey, bro, come on, let's run." And that motivated me. And then I was just watching your footsteps, and literally I was just running. I couldn't walk because my blisters were there in my leg from the day one of the beast. But I didn't stop that, and I was just following you, and I was looking you behind you. I was following. I was like, no, he is running. He is a beast, but he's just running slow, open race, because I think so his team is with him. Yeah. So let's follow him. At least there is someone in the course map who is making me motivated. So I really appreciate you on that day, that I was like, I was being stuck on that course. I was like, I'm stuck somewhere. And you crossed me, and then it was a Mubadla track, I think so. I saw you there near the pond. Yeah. And from there I carry on. I was like, okay, it's only like 1 mile is left. 1.5 miles is left, and I think so Jafar is gonna drag me to there, and that was my finish.
That's awesome. Dabs, bro. You gotta dabs it.
Sure, man.
All right. That's awesome, yeah. And this is what I mean. It's like, even when you see some random stranger, someone that someone that's not, even if they're not part of the grind, you never leave a fallen comrade. That's one of the things we believe in.
That's the word believe in.
And
So share with me your experience. You have participated in 2 world championships, you said, Liva and Vadba.
yeah,
And now once again the Vadba is coming in the Middle East. So the
yes,
Spartan is coming in the Middle East. So
yes.
what's your experience? First Liva and then Vadba.
Okay, I'll be honest.
Two different race course,
Yes,
two different, entirely different race course.
yeah. I'll be honest with you. Both were challenging,
Definitely.
and it's Liwa with the no walk in the park. I mean, it's one of the toughest terrains I've ran. Actually, I ran Wales, okay, and Wales was tough, but it was a breeze compared to Liwa. I think with Liwa and with Liwa was difficult. I'll be honest. When I compare both, Liwa was really
I think we can term it as brutal.
It was brutal. It was savage. It was really savage.
A day before the race, I was preparing my things to travel next day, and I just saw an interview from.
You remember driving to Liwa and just seeing the dunes? To Liwa. And you remember seeing the dunes?
Yeah.
I'm seeing the dunes, and I'm like, really?
And I was like, okay, these dunes, okay, these are small dunes, and slowly, and slowly it get bigger. But once I reached Liva, I was like, this is huge. So a day before, I was listening to Jody Senna's interview, and it was like someone asked me that, how tough is this World Championship in Abu Dhabi? And I told them that it's 10 times tougher. And I was like, okay, I don't know what is the toughness of World Championship before in US, but he's saying 10 times tougher. And the World Championship is attached with this race, so definitely this is something brutal.
Yeah.
So Liva was, of course, brutal. Vadba was brutal with the climate only. The weather.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, with Liwa, I personally, I loved both experiences were nice. I'll tell you.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Both were amazing. In terms of running the race course, Liwa was, for me personally, was more challenging. Was more challenging in terms of the terrain was a lot harder. The dunes were higher. The obstacles were much more challenging to complete. I only failed spear throw that race, I remember. But I remember with monkey bar, I almost fell because it was like the bars were so far apart. Almost, but I hit the bell and I was like, thank God, because the penalty loop was like, no way.
No way.
And I remember monkey in the middle, when I passed it, it took a lot in me mentally. And I managed to like ring the bell, but Liwa was one of those races I'll never forget, because even cliff climb, there was one obstacle. You had to climb this dune, and I saw people cry. I saw a grown man cry. I saw someone actually praying, thinking, this could be the last day of his life. And I was like, this race, which was really savage. This is in my opinion, this was a true championship race. It was designed with difficulty beyond difficulty. Wadba was difficult. It was challenging. It wasn't easy. The terrain itself, although it wasn't higher elevation, or the dunes were not higher than Liwa, it was hotter. It was much hotter. Last year was really, really hot. And there was a lot of slopes, more slopes.
That's the thing.
So that's one of the differences. The obstacles I felt were a bit easier, to be honest. They made them a bit easier.
Because of Liva, I think so.
I think Liwa, they saw, but in my opinion, the challenge is always fun. Even if
the challenge should be always tougher. The challenge is always tougher.
It's always tougher, but it always teaches you a lot. You walk out of this race, you look at the medal, it means something, right? And with Wadba, it still means something. It wasn't easy at all, because there's one point. At one point, you were just running in dunes, like there were low dunes, but it was soft sand nonetheless.
Yeah.
And with both races, what they have in common is that it's soft sand, and the challenge is running in soft sand. I'll tell you something, you could run the ups much easier than running on sand dunes or soft sand. Sure. It takes a lot of effort. Every step, I think, is equivalent to 4 normal steps.
Definitely.
But with both Liwa and Wadba, it's just one of one of the things that I enjoyed, of course, celebrating UAE National Day, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Trying to, merge culture with sport, that was really cool. The festival area at Al Wadba was much more.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it more than
Wadba they did something different in the festival area in the evening.
They did something different. I enjoyed Wadba more than Liwa. The festival area was much more organized. They followed the schedule through. With Liwa, there was a lot of logistical issues, from what I heard. And I don't blame Spartan at all, because to give them the benefit of the doubt, we were just transitioning from COVID and lockdown, and the world was still not opening up. So I'm pretty sure containers were stuck somewhere in China or US.
Even the international athletes who represented last year were more rather than Liva. Liva was less international people came.
Was less, and a lot of people couldn't travel, or making the trip to Abu Dhabi was not
easy
cheap.
for them.
And the vaccination and all that. But with I think world opening up, there was a lot of lessons learned, probably with Liwa. But nonetheless, I think Liwa really, like as a race itself, running from start to end. Honestly, I look at the medal, I always give myself a pat on the back, because that was
the only thing. Crying and reaching the finish line in Liwa.
Do you remember the last sandbag? And I was like, why?
Liva was never forgettable. Like anything of Liva you ask and people will be, yes, I remember. Yes, I remember. So Liva was like that. As we are talking about obstacles as well, and I read your post also regarding obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
What are the game-changing obstacles? And did you face any? Can you name them?
Yes, I can name them. I love this question. I love it so much. You know why? Because the game-changing obstacle at every race is always spear throw. Always. Never has there been a race, because it's always at the end. 9 times out of 10. All right? It's
how have you faced? What is your love-hate relationship with this obstacle?
With spear throw, I would say it's not enough just learning the technique. You have to control your nerves. When you get to the end, right, at spear, you're next to spectators, festival area, people are watching. You could be nervous, right? Even if you know how to nail the spear, when you're nervous, things can go wrong. So this is what I mean. The mental part's important. And then sometimes when you get to spear throw right before the finish line, imagine running a beast, your energy's taxed. Maybe you're not paying attention. Maybe you're not. Of course, there's no excuse, but again, this is reality, right? So you hit the spear, you miss. So this is a game changer. And the penalty loop with the 30 burpees back in the day, that would basically, and this happened to me in Wales. I was second place. I was holding second place up until spear throw. No burpees, no penalty loops. Passed all the obstacles, got to spear throw, 100 meters before the finish line, right? Got to spear throw. I missed it from second to fifth in my age group. But I'm proud of myself for that, regardless. But missing the spear throw, it's a game changer. The other game changer is Z-Wall.
Really?
I'll tell you why. Z-Wall, I've seen it happen in races, especially in the Middle East. Dunk wall is right before Z-Wall. Guess what happens? When it's muddy, right? When the Z-Wall is muddy and it's covered with sand and it taxes your grip.
Even it doesn't affect the grip, but when you're putting your feet on the wooden blocks, because of that sand, the sand is like stuck, the dirt is stuck on the wall.
Yeah.
Your feet also slip out. So even if your hands grips are perfect, your feet is not.
Exactly. So a lot of it, like you said, the grip could be, you could basically adjust your training requirements to get your, like, for example, make sure you do training when your hands are wet and stuff like that, just to, strengthen the grip. But you're absolutely right. I completely agree. Sometimes even just looking at a muddy or a wet Z-wall could affect you mentally, where you could just
fall. And for a new athlete, if these both things goes perfect, he or she get the cramps.
Yeah.
So when both things get perfect, some other thing comes up. So you are right. Actually, these two obstacles they need a mental toughness in them.
Yeah, they're easy to execute when you do it. When you learn the technique, no problem.
You think that like I have done spear throw several times in OCR Empire Gym. I have done several times somewhere else also. I was like, this is the easiest thing I can do. Spear throw is my best obstacle, my favorite obstacle. On the race day,
right,
I'm doing open race. So I know I have no pressure of losing the spots, so I can hit it.
Yeah.
I have hit like 80%. My spear throws are perfect, but I know once I am in age group, the pressure is here.
Yeah.
And when your pressure is in your mind, same thing. Control your nerves, otherwise you have to do burpees.
Exactly. This is why I consider both these obstacles game changers. The other obstacles, of course, twister, monkey bar, grip. If you just work on the grip,
those just need the grips.
Yeah, and in most races that I've done, they're not tricky. It's just grip. There's no other obstacle that's gonna. Sometimes they have walls just to tax your upper body, so you need to take that into consideration. But they're not really game changers as much as Z-wall and spear throw, because usually they're right towards the end, where people are seeing it. So they usually
people are seeing you, so you have to be aware. You have to be cautious that okay, no one can make my life. I am a champion. I'm this. So of course, and I've seen the elite champions last to last year in Liva. I won't take the names, but I've seen in female category, they slipped down 5 positions, and the number 6 came on top 4 positions, top 5 positions. I've seen those things.
Yeah,
it's a game changer.
It is. In Sparta, I saw the final, basically the last day, the Beast, Richard Hynek, and I think there was someone from France, the US, so the top pro elites in our community going head to head for first, second, third, and the game changer for them, of course, they got cramps, but one of the game changer was spear throw. The spear throw, I think maybe I might be wrong, but I think in my opinion that affected them in multi-rig. Multi-rig was tough to execute. A lot of people failed it, and they failed it, but Richard just went flying past both obstacles.
What advice you would give to local and international athletes competing in this year's Spartan World Championship in Wadba?
Okay, with Wadba, I think depending on where you're from. So if you live in Europe, right, or the US, especially the northern part, is try to do a lot of your training outdoors in the summer. Try to acclimate with summer temperatures, because when you're traveling from Canada, for example, to Abu Dhabi or Wadba, it's plus 30 degrees Celsius, right? So there's a huge gap in terms of climate. So climatization is very important for us from this part of the world. Yes, a lot of us, we have similar climates in the UAE and Kuwait, but a lot of people do their training indoors. Do it outdoors. Do your training outdoors, sweat a little, and increase the intensity of your training at least once a week. And let fatigue be your friend. I know a lot of people don't agree with this approach, but if you're really going for races like Wadda or Sparta, especially Abu Dhabi this year, one of the things you need to do is acclimate with the weather. Do a lot of beach runs or soft sand running. If you don't have access to sand dunes, like Kuwait, we don't have a lot of sand dunes, so do a lot of beach runs. Be familiar with your terrain. Nutrition. Focus on your nutrition. Don't try anything new on race day. So whatever you're going to take with you, if you're going to take a water bag or gels, incorporate that into your training. But most importantly, climatize. I think one of the things that we learned in Al-Wadba, especially this year, was the heat. Kuwait gets really hot, 50 degrees in the summer, but we're always indoors, right? I'm crazy. I train outdoors regardless.
I've seen it.
So, and the reason why I do that is not just to see, look at me. Because again, you have to be prepared, right? Prepare yourself for, if you're going to Wadba, if you're going to Liwa, if you're going to Sparta, it could be raining, there could be a storm, and that was our case. So why do I do runs when it's raining? Why do I train outdoors when there's thunder? It's because the show must go on. Just because it's raining, the race doesn't stop. If the sun is out in Al-Wadda and it's 12 p.m., it's going to be 30 degrees, it's going to be 35, and the sun is going to kill you. You're going to feel like you're going to die and feel like you're reborn again so many times. You get dehydration. Sometimes you need to do long runs without drinking water because water stations can't depend on them. They can't depend on the water being cold enough, or you can't. So climatization is important. That's number one. Number two, is try to be as light as possible. So dress light colors, that tends to help as well. And try not to carry a lot of. One of the things I don't like personally is the bag, because it's weight on top of your weight. But if you're gonna carry it with you, then when you're training, train with your bag, right? Train with the water bag, because it's gonna be with you during race day. And nutrition. So practice carb loading, and when we practice carb loading, that doesn't mean carb load a day or two before. Practice from now, see what works, how your body reacts to certain carbs, and nutrition and hydration as well. So what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you, and vice versa. So you need to factor that in. And last but not least, compression. Trail shoes, get the right trail shoes. Gaiters very important.
Gaiters are, of course, most important thing in Vadba right now.
Yeah. But I think the number one rule here is climatization.
Climatization.
I think that's one of the most.
You have hands-on experience doing OCR in Europe as well as in Middle East. My question is, you have seen the athletes from all over the world, especially last 2 years in World Championship as well.
Yeah.
What can be done in MENA region, entire Middle East region, to produce more world-class athletes like Ryan Atkins, like Lindsay Webster, like Annie Dubé, Chris Ruglowski, VJ Jones? So what can be done in MENA region to produce these kind of athletes, and what steps Middle East can take to create a world champion?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a very, very good question. A lot of it, I think, has to do with culture, right? You look at someone like Ryan. I mean, based on what he says and what we see, I mean, he's a well-rounded athlete. He skis in winter. He does a lot of different kinds of sports, and I think these athletes were athletically driven at a very young age, and a lot of them really had to work hard. And I think one of the things that it comes down to in this region, there isn't a lot of sponsorship. Athletes don't get, that kind of sponsorship that they should, because a lot of it does cost money, right?
True.
A lot of the really good athletes that that I know of have full-time jobs. Whereas if you look at, for example, Ryan Atkins, you look at Lindsay, you look at whoever, all these top pro athletes who've made it big, a lot of them, they live and breathe. What they do is basically OCR, right? They're athletes that's their full-time job. Whereas it's not the case with me, a lot of people like me. So sponsorship is important. And I think the second part is what I said is culture. What I see, and I'm not offending anyone here, but what I see, a lot of people do a lot of things for the gram. And they're always looking for, I broke records, or I did this, or I did that. And if you look at these athletes, they don't behave that way. There's a huge difference. And I've met so a friend of mine from Portugal, actually, I met him in UK, and this guy's really fast. He's one of the pro elites in Portugal. And if you meet this guy, he's so humble, he's so caring, he's so down to earth. And there's no show off, And here, you kind of feel it here. I'm not offending anyone again, but I'm just saying.
You are actually correct. Yeah. I spoke to Chris Ruglowski for the podcast 2 weeks before. I hope you have heard this podcast as well. Like, till I haven't talked to her, like I'm doing with you, I didn't knew she was such a beast. There is nothing on her gram that how big beast she is. She's the world toughest murder champion. 24 hours race she did. She's just 27, 28, and she did 100 milers. The only woman in the history to did 100 miles.
Yeah.
In tough murder. She's the High Rocks world champion. Every DEKA, every High Rocks, every Savage race, she's on the podium, either first, second, or third. She's over there.
Mm-hmm.
Despite of her full-time job, she's doing that, but her Instagram says nothing.
The results speak for itself.
These are the champions. Their activity speaks about them. Their work speaks about them. So I was very inspired with her things that I'm seeing her this year in Vadba. I'm seeing her in top 5 or top 3.
Yeah.
So these are the athletes, and that's what Middle East has to produce someone. Ubaid al-Noemi is there. Saleh Swedish is there, but of course we need them to be in the World Championship area in top 1 in Spartan Pro team.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like you said, you look at these athletes from Europe or the West, and we're not trying to say that they're better than us or we're better than them or we're worse. It's no comparison. Like, we're not comparing, but if you look at those athletes, like you said, there's no mention. The race happened and that's it. But there's a level of humbleness, and I've seen it when I travel to Europe. I see how people, like, there's no showing off. There's no cheating. And this is one of the things that I think here in this part of the world, as well as some other parts I heard, it's not just in the Middle East. I think maybe Latin America, there's some countries where they have the same problem. And I've heard it from people from there, that they complain about the same issues we complain about. Cheating. No one respects the rules. Not no one, but a lot of people don't. And I'm not generalizing. So a lot of people do, but there are people that don't. And this, I think, has a lot to say about our sport. And I don't blame the race organizer, or I don't like to blame the race organizer, whether it's a High Rocks race or Spartan or this or that, or this other companies doing an OCR race. You can't blame them. There's only so much you can do as an organizer. You can take the course, but it's up to you as an athlete to read the rules and respect the rules. And a lot of people don't. And I'm not going to say everyone, but I know I've seen a lot of people that don't. And I've seen people that do, and it's not fair for the people that do. And I always say, and I've said this before, and I'll say it to people's face and on Instagram and whatever, if you cheat, don't compete. That's simple.
Or either don't compete, or
and save yourself the money. Don't travel.
Or don't brag the medal.
Don't brag the medal. Just. And if you want to brag the medal, go ahead. But again, my advice: if you want to cheat, save your money. Don't go travel. And
last year, Vadba, I was opting to do my first ever age group, but due to some work responsibilities, I couldn't train for the 6 months before Vadba. So of course, going in Spartan race without any training doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
I intended to do every obstacle. My blisters came out in the feet immediately, in the heel, in the first 4 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
My hand got blistered in the first 5 kilometers. I said, instead of quitting from there, or instead of taking shortcuts from there, I'll complete it. I don't care the time. My aim is to complete this race. I will do that. Several times the thought came that, Amin, let's quit it. Let's quit it. And I was like, I just lay down on the sands on the top hill. I was just enjoying the area, enjoying the sun. And I was like, okay, get up, get back to work. Get this tough shit done. So I completed, and just like 100 200 meters away from the finish line, I was like, tomorrow super, I won't do it. And sprint, I think I'll give it to someone else. Or if someone doesn't go, I'll not do it. And after the finish line, I was like, I'll just take rest right now. I'll just get healed for tomorrow's 2 races. That's the thing which Spartan gives you, craziness. And as you said before, we are unbreakable. We are a community. In sprint, when I was slowed down, I found you. So someone is sent to make you complete the race. As you said, the positive affirmation and the law of attraction things are always there. If you wish it, if you visualize it, you will complete that thing.
Yeah. Which I think I completely agree. It's what, if you think positive, you will achieve positive, but you have to work towards it, right? But you have to see it. And we are a community, and this is the beauty of it, is that we are, we should be there to each other. One thing I want to say that's very important is, and I think this is kindness. the kindness and the level of the human level is something. Sometimes we see it lacking here. Like unfortunately, I traces and it's okay. But like one of the things that we should do, I think all of us collectively, just be kind to each other, be good to each other, help each other, but volunteer when people want you to volunteer. Like for example, when I was in Khorfakan, only a few people stepped up to volunteer when Spartan had an issue with volunteers. And I think, and I don't blame in the end, participants are there to do a race, enjoy it. But one of the things, as a Spartan brand ambassador, I'll speak here, like, is volunteer. Why only a handful of people volunteer? Why didn't everyone representing the brand, representing the sport, forget the brand, the sport,
True.
the essence of being there, if you've done a hurricane heat before or you haven't, one of the things that they teach you is always place the mission first, never leave a fallen comrade, never accept defeat, never quit. So never leave a fallen comrade. You have people, I remember, when Chris went on Instagram, anyone who can volunteer, when someone is telling you help, you say no thanks. And I think this is something, and in Europe, and surprisingly, I have friends from Germany and Austria who came. They see that I traveled to Europe, so they were inspired to come. I remember they were inspired to come to Khorfakan. They want to see the Middle East, so they came to Khorfakan. They did the championship. They came to Kuwait for the stadium. And one of the things they noticed is the cheating, of course. It was very clear that there was a lot of cheating. And the other thing is, it's just different. They, like there, what I noticed is that when, for example, there was a race in Germany, I remember seeing on Spartan Germany's Instagram, is that all the ambassadors step up when they need someone to help. For example, when somebody had some kind of physical disability or a group of people, these ambassadors are quick to jump, and they don't do it for the gram or to become popular or famous. They do it because they give a shit. They love the sport. They respect the sport enough, whether people are looking or they're not looking, right? And here it's all about, who's looking, who's. I'm not everyone. I don't want to generalize or be negative, but I think this is one of the things that we should do is we should be more kind to each other, help each other, support each other. Don't put people down. Give people hope.
Share a funny moment.
Funny moment
in the OCR races.
Funny moment. There's a lot of funny moments. We've done a lot of funny shit in races.
I know. Last in Muscat, I have seen you guys. Yeah. In Vatpa, I have seen you guys. But any funny moment which is not forgettable?
Funny moment. Trying to remember. Funny moment. There's a lot. I'm trying to think on top of my head. What was the funniest moment?
I have seen you guys shouting around, roaring around, cheering around.
Yeah.
I have seen you guys doing that as well. So
I think there's a few. One of the funny moments is the dance we did at the start line in Khorfakan. Sorry, yes. In Khorfakan? Yes,
Muscat.
Chris was at the start line doing his thing, and then we were all dancing, and then we broke down to hip hop, and that was really fun. Other stuff is just watching people do, like, I think helping someone.
Just helping someone.
His friend, they were just basically sitting on my shoulders and trying to do the monkey, but that was funny because I couldn't carry that person. That person was a bit like, but funny. I think would be. Well, I can't really think of one other.
No worries. Mo, I have seen you today doing some painting stuff.
Okay.
What was that? So this part for our listeners is something revealing right now.
Yeah.
So tell us something about that new project.
All right. So the new project is, and this has been long in the making, and this has been a project I've been working on for more than a year.
A dream come true?
It's a process that didn't happen overnight, but planning the grind is officially going to open very soon, hopefully. I'm not going to announce the date yet. It's still a work in progress. And what I was doing today was actually painting the walls myself and the obstacles and drilling some of the Okay, I'm gonna have a spoiler here. I'm drilling the blocks for the Z wall myself, and I don't know. My parents always said I'm a handyman, so my mom's like always says you like working with your hands, and it's true. So basically, that's what I was doing today. Is just doing the final touches for one of the obstacles and painting some of the walls.
So it's an obstacle kind of a gym.
So yes, so it's going to be a gym with obstacles. It's going to be a gym with training, non-obstacles as well. So hopefully very soon I'll be announcing the opening. I'll be showing you guys. I'm not going to show you guys yet. Let's just keep the element of surprise there. But very soon.
I've seen that.
But I've shown. I showed.
You showed me just a little bit only, yeah.
Just a little bit, yeah. I'm not going to show you anything else.
It's going to be a surprise for me as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a surprise. Hopefully, aiming for the summer, inshallah. And hope to see everyone at the grind. The grind is your home, and it's going to be a gym where you can come practice. There'll be all the obstacles that you see at Spartan races or Hannibal or Tough Mudder, and we'll have and we're going to be doing a lot of fitness events, fun fitness events that everyone can do that's not obstacle related, and really just go try to basically break the norm of fitness, really turning the place into a fun place where people can come and really enjoy, that 1 hour, that 4% of their day, and just come to the grind and do their thing.
So I think once the grind is open, I have to bring you back on this mic for the absolute minute and entire details for the grind as well. So lastly, how can the listeners get in touch with you, Mo?
Simply just follow me on Instagram, Mo Jafar, MOH JAFAR. I'm on Instagram. You can follow me. You can follow the Grind Kuwait on Instagram, and get in touch with me if you want to get in contact. I could give you my number as well. Just reach out to me on Instagram. Don't want to announce it to the world, but you could just.
And listeners, I think so. Whoever is doing the races and want to get in touch with you, they can just any races in Middle East. You are there. They can bump into you. Yeah.
They can bump into me. You see me at a race, just be like, Mo, what's up? If you ask me if you want to take a selfie with me, I'll be like, I'll take a selfie with you. Okay, you're the guy I want to take selfie with. Not, it's the other way around. But yeah, just come to me. I'm not gonna bite. I promise. We're all.
No, guys, I'll tell you guys that he's such a sweet person, such a sweetheart person. I know. On the field, off the field as well, and just get into him, bump into him, ask him whatever you wanna ask. He's open here for any kind of details you wanna know. Whatever is in his forte, he will provide you with that. And once the grind is done, the Kuwaiti people can go there and make the most of it. All the best for your High Rocks next month and your European Spartan race next month, I think so.
Yeah, next month. Next week I'll be in Italy doing a trifecta weekend. And next month I'll be in Germany, in Hanover. It's going to be my first High Rocks experience. I'm looking forward to that. Running as an individual. I think
next month there's High Rocks World Championship happening as well.
I think so. It's in UK, right?
Yeah, and I think so. 2 athletes, people from Dubai are going.
Yes.
From Spirit.
I also want to say something to my friend Ala Akawi. Thank you.
Ala Akawi, yes.
Yeah, he was my inspiration, by the way. I just want to say he inspired me to do something different and step out of my comfort zone.
Ala is amazing guy. I have known him since OCR Nation and OCR Empire time. He's such an amazing person. Yeah. And right now, I think so George Crew and Tariq Al-Makiri, they are going over there for the World Championship. All the best to them.
Best of luck to all of them.
Best of luck to you also. It was very nice talking to you, Mo. Hope to get you back again when the grind is open. And let's catch up in the races and see you, man.
Definitely. One last thing. Anyone from Dubai, Abu Dhabi, from the region, whoever's coming from anywhere, once the grind is open door to anyone. Anyone can come in. And if you see my races, just holler at me. I'm like you said, Amin, I don't bite. And even before races, if you just want to reach out to me on Instagram, just send me a message. I'm quick to respond. And I'm more than happy to help you, even if I don't know you. Just let me know. Let me know what's on your mind. And thank you, Amin. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mo. Thank you so much for your time on the Ramadan, and Ramadan Kareem to you. Allah.
Ramadan Kareem
Thank
to
you,
you as
brother.
well. Take care. Bye bye.